Why are vast stretches of the United States practically deserted in 2025? Picture this: breathtaking mountains, rolling plains, endless skies, yet hardly a soul in sight. What's driving people away? Is it the brutal weather? A shaky economy? Or something even stranger? In today's video, we're uncovering the 9 emptiest states in America, and trust me, some of the reasons will absolutely shock you. Let's kick off this journey through America's forgotten frontiers. Can you guess which state tops the list? Let's find out. Number 1. Alaska. This state is massive, so big it could swallow Texas twice. And yet, fewer people live in all of Alaska than in the city of Columbus, Ohio. Only about 740,000 people are spread out over more than 663,000 square miles. That's one person per square mile. So what keeps Alaska so empty? First off, the weather. In winter, temperatures drop to -30 Fahrenheit or lower. In the north, it gets even colder, -60 degrees. And then there's the sun. In winter, some areas are in total darkness for days or weeks. In summer, you might not see a proper night sky for months. These extreme light cycles, they're not just inconvenient, they can seriously mess with your mood and your health. And it's not just the climate. Transportation here is a challenge. Many towns aren't even connected by roads. In fact, air travel is the only way in or out for some communities. That means everything, groceries, supplies, medicine, costs more. Median home prices hover around $325,000, and energy bills? Sky high, thanks to heating costs in those long, freezing winters. The state's economy leans heavily on oil, which makes it volatile. One bad year in oil, and jobs disappear fast. But despite all this, Alaska has its magic. The northern lights, glaciers, and the largest national park in the U.S. make it one of the last true wildernesses on Earth. Still, for most people, it's a place to visit, not settle. Next up, Wyoming. Known for its wide-open spaces, jaw-dropping natural beauty, and outdoor adventure, Wyoming sounds like paradise. But in reality, it's the least populous state in the entire country, with only about 580,000 people in all of 2025. That's 6 people per square mile. Why so empty? Comes down to economics. Wyoming relies on industries like coal, oil, and natural gas, and those markets are anything but stable. When prices drop, the economy tanks, and jobs vanish. Even the biggest city, Cheyenne, has just 65,000 residents. And it doesn't offer the jobs or culture people find in bigger urban hubs. You won't find much public transportation either. If you live here, you'll need a car, and a backup plan for when snowstorms shut down roads. And speaking of snow, winters are intense. Sub-zero temperatures and whiteout blizzards are common. The state gets around 50 inches of snow a year. Summers bring a different kind of misery, temperatures over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and many homes don't even have air conditioning. Wyoming is a dream for those who love solitude and the great outdoors. But for most, it's a hard place to build a life. Coming in at number 3, Montana. Nicknamed Big Sky Country, Montana is huge, 147,000 square miles, but fewer than 1.15 million people live there in 2025. That's less than the population of San Antonio, Texas, spread out over a space the size of Germany. So why is Montana so empty? Well, it starts with the economy, which depends on agriculture, mining, and tourism. These aren't exactly industries that attract tech workers or young professionals looking to climb the corporate ladder. And then there's the weather. Winters here can dip to -20 Fahrenheit, and snowstorms can trap rural residents for days. And while the summers are beautiful, they also bring wildfires. Every year, thousands of acres burn. There's also the wildlife, grizzly bears, especially. Montana has one of the largest grizzly populations in the lower 48 states, around 1,800 bears. Hiking here. Bring bear spray. The average household income is just $60,000, below the national average. And although housing is affordable in some areas, much of the state lacks modern conveniences like reliable internet or even cell service. Yes, the views are stunning. Yes, the outdoor adventures are unmatched. But the harsh conditions and limited economic options? They make Montana a beautiful place to visit, not necessarily one to stay. Outro, 9:30. Narrator. 3 states down, 6 more to go. And trust me, the stories get even more unbelievable from here. From blinding snowstorms to tornado alleys and ghost towns, you won't believe which states made the rest of the list. First up, North Dakota. You'd think a state with booming oil fields would be bustling. But in reality, fewer than 800,000 people live here in 2025. That's just 11 people per square mile. So what's the deal? Well, yes, oil and gas brought a surge of jobs a few years ago. But that boom was short-lived. Now, many small towns are seeing people leave just as fast as they came. North Dakota has some of the coldest winters in the country. Temperatures regularly drop below -20 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chills making it feel even colder. Blizzards can shut down highways for days. The rural lifestyle appeals to some, but not to most. You'll drive for miles before hitting a gas station, grocery store, or hospital. The largest city, Fargo, has only about 130,000 residents. Beyond that, it's all tiny towns, open plains, and a lot of empty space. There's also a lack of entertainment, diverse job markets, and higher education options, which makes it hard to keep younger people around. So while North Dakota has low crime, affordable homes, and plenty of peace and quiet, it also comes with long winters, limited opportunities, and isolation. Next, South Dakota. Slightly more populous than its northern twin, with about 920,000 people in 2025, but still one of the most sparsely populated states in the U.S. If you've ever seen Mount Rushmore, you've seen one of South Dakota's main attractions. But beyond that, there isn't much drawing people in. Much like North Dakota, winters are brutal, with temperatures plummeting and snowfall averaging over 40 inches per year. And while it does have some urban centers like Sioux Falls and Rapid City, they're small by national standards. The rest of the state is mostly farmland, prairie, and tiny rural towns that are shrinking fast. The economy leans heavily on agriculture, which is tough work and often seasonal. Internet access. Still spotty in many rural areas. Healthcare. In some counties, you might be hours away from the nearest hospital. South Dakota also ranks low in teacher pay and education funding, which causes many families to relocate in search of better schools. It's a beautiful state, with rolling hills, wide skies, and a strong sense of local community. But for many, the isolation and harsh climate outweigh the charm. Now, let's head east, all the way to Vermont. Vermont is famous for fall foliage, maple syrup, and a strong sense of independence. But it's also one of the least populated states in the U.S., with just 630,000 residents in 2025. That's fewer people than live in Portland, Oregon. And while it sounds like a New England dream, there's a reason many people don't stay. First, it's expensive. Median home prices are high, property taxes are steep, and the cost of living doesn't match the state's lower average wages. Second, the winters. Heavy snow, ice storms, and long, dark months make daily life challenging, especially for seniors or those with limited mobility. Third, the job market. Outside of healthcare, education, and seasonal tourism, there's not much variety. Young professionals often leave in search of better-paying work in Boston or New York. Also, Vermont is rural. Really rural. Over 60% of residents live in small towns with fewer than 2,500 people. That means fewer services, slower emergency response times, and long drives for basic needs. Even cell service and internet can be unreliable in the mountains. Still, Vermont holds tight to its charm: covered bridges, craft beer, farmers markets, and a strong sense of community. But for many, that's not enough to outweigh the cold, cost, and career limitations. Last in today's video, Maine. It's the northeastern tip of the U.S., with rugged coastlines, endless forests, and a laid-back lifestyle. But it's also the most rural state in the country, with nearly 65% of the population living outside urban areas. Maine's population is just over 1.3 million in 2025, less than the city of Dallas. So what keeps Maine from growing? Isolation is a big one. Some towns are so remote that they're hours from the nearest major city. In winter, they can be completely cut off by snow. Speaking of winter, it hits hard here. Maine averages 60 to 90 inches of snow each year. Combine that with freezing rain, ice storms, and below-zero temps, and you've got a recipe for cabin fever. Maine also has one of the oldest populations in the country. Young people often leave after high school for better jobs and warmer climates. And while the seafood is unbeatable and the landscapes are stunning, the economy is limited. Jobs mostly revolve around fishing, tourism, and healthcare. It's a great place to retire or escape city life, but for many younger Americans, Maine just doesn't offer enough to stay long-term. So far, we've covered 7 of the emptiest states in the U.S., and we've seen a pattern. Extreme weather, limited economies, isolation, and aging populations. But there are still 2 more to go, and they may surprise you. First up, Idaho. Yes, the place famous for potatoes, but trust me, it's way more than that. With a population just over 2 million, Idaho ranks low in density, around 23 people per square mile. But here's the twist. Unlike most of the other states we've covered, Idaho is growing fast. Boise, the capital, has seen a population surge in the last decade. People are leaving cities like San Francisco, Seattle, and Los Angeles, looking for cheaper housing, less traffic, and a slower pace of life, and many have landed in Idaho. So, why is it still considered empty? Simple. The land is huge. Idaho is the 14th largest state by area, but most of it is rugged mountains, national forests, and remote wilderness. Over 60% of the land is public, and some towns are hours away from major roads or grocery stores. And winters. Brutal in some areas. Snowfall can reach over 100 inches in the mountains, with temps often dropping below zero. Outside Boise and a few mid-sized cities, jobs are limited, especially in tech or finance. Healthcare can be sparse, and like much of rural America, broadband internet is still catching up. So even though Idaho's population is growing, it's still a place of big land, small towns, and wide open space. Some see that as a dream. Others, a deal breaker. Now to the southwest, New Mexico. You might be surprised to learn that New Mexico is bigger than Pennsylvania, yet it has only about 2.1 million people. That's 17 people per square mile. So, why is this massive state still so empty? Well, let's start with geography. New Mexico is made up of deserts, mountains, and high plains. That means a lot of beautiful land, but much of it is harsh, dry, and tough to live in. In summer, temperatures can top 100 degrees Fahrenheit, especially in the southern part of the state. In winter, mountain areas like Taos and Santa Fe can see heavy snow and freezing temperatures. And then there's the economy. New Mexico has some of the highest poverty rates in the U.S. The job market is heavily dependent on government contracts, military bases, and energy sectors like oil and gas. Outside of that, opportunities can be scarce. Education and healthcare rankings, also near the bottom nationally. Even the cities, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, Santa Fe, are relatively small and often struggling with infrastructure and crime issues. But here's the twist. New Mexico is stunning. Red rock canyons, ancient Pueblo ruins, star-filled skies, and a rich blend of Hispanic, Native American, and Anglo cultures make it unlike anywhere else in the U.S. Artists, retirees, and remote workers are slowly rediscovering the state, but many younger residents still leave in search of better-paying work elsewhere. It's a state full of potential, but weighed down by structural challenges that will take years to overcome. So let's recap. We've now covered 9 of the emptiest states in America. And while they all face different issues, weather, jobs, geography, aging populations, they all share one key trait. They are places where people can live in peace, away from the crowd, but often at the cost of opportunity, comfort, or connection. Some of these states are seeing growth. Others, still declining. But one thing is clear. In a world that's becoming more crowded, these wide-open places may be more valuable than ever. What do you think? Would you ever live in one of these empty states?